And so okay. So what we're going to be doing is going to go over just basic roles of a meeting. So we're going to keep it really generic. So the interesting thing is that each of these roles are found in one facilitator. They just start to spread out as meetings get bigger and bigger to help keep the meeting moving. But these are all, you'll find these from one-on-one conversations. You'll be doing these things to any type of meeting. We want to kind of frame this as if this is a skill that you can take with you anywhere to help that conversation and then help the meeting. Then we will be tailoring it to a General Assembly. That is the model of the Occupy movement. So first off, we have the facilitator. And so the facilitator is a goal-directed active listener. So what you're trying to do as a facilitator is you're getting us to a goal. You're trying to keep us, for example, on task, on time, flowing through the agenda, and getting to proposals and getting to consensus, if consensus is to be had. Also, active listening is not just passively listening, but asking questions, paraphrasing, reframing so that you are understanding where somebody is coming from, and then trying to restate the discussion in the form of a proposal. So that then goes to the GA for further discussion. So some guidelines to think about is you want to organize now, but you want to organize right. And so one way of organizing now, organizing right, is treat every meeting as if it were 100 people there. You start with a small group where you feel very comfortable. You can start to kick over some of these, if you're intimidated or shy, we can all help each other get over that fear, because facilitation is public speaking. So when we get to that point, we want to get to a point where we have 100 people showing up, or even more, because that shows that we're growing, we're successful, we're being effective. So some of the key things for a meeting, and as a facilitator, you want to respect time. You want to respect time. So you want to try to stay on time or start on time. Doesn't matter if people are late. You're just basically setting a precedent that this is a meeting. This is serious. You need to show up on time. And so if you start on time, then you can end on time, and that shows that you respect a person's time, right? They don't want to come here at 2 and then stay for 6 hours. Who can do that, right? We want to be able to, unless we have a physical occupation, then we have all that time to spend. But if we're not, and we're trying to build to a point of physical occupation, we want to respect this time so that people can go on with their lives, go back to work, go back to that work group, hammer out a proposal. So you want to respect the time. Then you want to respect the meeting goal. You want to find out. This happens, with the GA. With the GA, what you're trying to do is get to a proposal and get to consensus, if consensus is something that the GA wants. But with facilitation as something that you can take to any meeting, to a one-on-one conversation, to you and your friends trying to figure out where you want to eat, to 100 people in a giant room. You want to try to figure out as a facilitator, if you volunteer, if you go to another GA and you're just there like looking for volunteers and you volunteer, ask them, so what is the goal of the meeting, right? So that when they tell you what the goal of the meeting is, you can stay on that. They're trusting you to stay on the task. And so with GAs, it's to get to a proposal and move to a consensus, move through the discussion, make sure everybody feels included. So just real quick, what is a proposal? A proposal is basically any statement that can be framed generically. X should do Y to accomplish Z. So for the most part, it would be like Occupy Tulsa, General Assembly, should go get cases of water to support the physical occupation site, or something like that. And then you can have a conversation. If you don't have a proposal at first, you just start the conversation, and they start saying, well, I think we need water at this occupation site. You can go, so your work group should go get water for the physical occupation, and that's the proposal, and then we can just get to a point of consensus. That's just to keep you as a facilitator thinking about the goals in the process. So all of these other roles of the General Assembly, if it's just a one-on-one conversation between you and somebody else, these are all in one person. But since we're planning for 100 people at one meeting, we're going to need to separate these out into other roles. There needs to be an understanding between the facilitator work group that we're all in this together. We've gone through the training, we're really focused on having a really great meeting, because if you've had a great meeting, you felt that energy, you felt that excitement, that we've done something and we're moving on to something. Then you've had those bad meetings where you're like, I don't even want to do this again. I don't want to come back. We want to have... You talking to me?
Can I ask you a question just for 1 second? Apologize.
So... Okay, so...
Down with the corporate America!
Yeah!
Taking all our money!
So, as we separate these roles out, we're going to, each role is a supportive role of the meeting, so we're all supporting each other. So, the next role would be what we call the Vibe Watch. I think you can call it whatever you want, but basically, the Vibe Watch helps the facilitator, as in, if the facilitator is actively listening, like focusing on one person talking or a group of people that are part of the discussion and trying to actively get them to frame the discussion into a proposal, the Vibe Watch is watching everybody else. So if you're watching everybody else as the Vibe Watch and you see that they're texting or talking to themselves about something else or wandering off or going to sleep, that's time for the Vibe Watch to step in and say, we need to get focused, right? And so the Vibe Watch can call breaks. We've had one really successful meeting where the Vibe Watch said, everybody's drifting off, everybody step up and stretch, and just get the blood moving again, and then sit, and then they got right back into the meeting. And so it needs to be understood that the Vibe Watch, as the Vibe Watch, the group trusts you to do that. We want to make sure that you're empowered. You as the Vibe Watch, your job is to make sure that the meeting feels good. Everybody feels engaged.
I have a problem in Occupy OKC. It would go on for like 2 hours and people would stand and have to leave and go do something. So that's a good point to put up.
So typically what we like to do is have a meeting, have a break, already just standard, a break in the middle of the meeting. But the Vibe Watch is empowered to call additional breaks if people are feeling disengaged. If that's the Vibe Watch's call, that would get people re-engaged if they had a break. All right, then the stat keeper helps the facilitator. So what the facilitator is going to do as facilitation, right, they're probably going to call out 3 people, right? As the discussion begins, the facilitator can go ahead and say, you, then you, and then start actively listening.